No game, no life. IMDb rating of 7.7 out of 10. An anime that I have long put off, but also do not regret it at all to have watched this. Just the opposite. Even if in few parts a little cringe, the anime is very funny and just enjoyable. I hope season 2 won't be long in coming, and hopefully we just get one at some point. With 12 episodes, the first season is also not a monster, which is for most people only the better, since that goes down quickly. And let's go! In a battle, 4 players dominate the queen and 1200 other players without cheating. Unlike the queen, who lost despite cheating. Behind the 4 without names are only 2 people who play 2 characters each. Sora and his little sister Shiro. When the little sister is asleep, he goes into monkey mode and just takes over all 4 with his feet. So much talent must be appreciated. First test again in a chess game, win that and be pulled by a god into a game world. Differently than the normal world, where they weren't really good, they here where everything is decided by games and the laws are only 10 commandments which have to do with these games, they better clear. Gaining close, in a poker game put himself and his sister as an offer to get a chance to win some gold. With a little cheating they escape the Shadow Realm and get the win. And as long as you don't get caught cheating either, it's allowed. Rent a room, give a princess a hint that the opponent is cheating and good night. But in the middle of the night there is a visitor who of course can't be left outside. The king's granddaughter Stephanie lost because Sora told her that the opponent was cheating, but he didn't tell her how she was cheating to expose her. With a little provocation, it comes to a game. Rock, paper, scissors, in which Sora only wants to play paper. If he loses, he does everything for her. If he wins, she does everything for him. She sets up mathematical equations in her head, calculates on the side what the One Piece is, whether he is lying, only to lose to Rock. With that, Sora has a wish, and he wants her to fall in love with him. And according to the 10 commandments, that wish has to be fulfilled. This makes Shiro a little jealous, but the boy is 18 years old and also has his sexual desires, which he also directly, well, almost. Sora and Shiro must apparently not be separated from each other, otherwise they become lost. Relax a bit in the palace and get to know the world. There are 16 races playing for territories. At the last place are the humans because they can't use magic. So, next goal, help Stephanie and become king. The new king Clammy's coronation is held. But objection! Sora challenges her, having won against Stephanie only with the help of an elf. Clammy now chooses a game into place, even tries to persuade Sora, but without success. So it's off to the game. Chess with pieces that have their own will. Clammy gets support from the free will of her figures, while Shiro is much more restricted by it. So restricted that she can't move anymore. The only thing that helps is to strengthen the morale of the man to be able to get something going again. Unfortunately, Clammy uses a manipulation spell which pulls figures to the opponent's side. Thus, Sora is checkmate and the king is fallen. At least if Sora hadn't gone to the field and could pull the enemy's queen to his side with a Talk no Jutsu, which can then pull more figures to his side. Sora incites the enemy queen to revolt and pulls one soldier after another to his side. Without fighting, Clammy's Tyrant King is hunted down and thus GG is noob. And thus there will be a new king. Sora and Shiro want to rule together, but there can only be one king. This must be decided in games. 3 days later, there is still no decision. So Rule 7 comes in play. Each side can choose a representative. So both are kings after all. First act as king, force every direct subordinate to the truth by losing a rock paper scissors game. Thus, spies are already excluded. Clarify all internal political questions and then speak to the people. They recognize the own weakness of the human race, see this, however, also as strength, declare the world the war and want to conquer the world back again. And since the two have defeated Clammy with elf support, the other races will believe that they are supported by a higher race which protects them from attacks for the time being. God Tito still comes by, is challenged directly, but before that one must possess the world domination. Good, so the new goal is set, shouldn't be so difficult after all. Sora and Shiro just read all day and dump their work on everyone else. They even gave up the king's room because they fell off the bed. Of course, Hay is much more comfortable. Steph now challenges Sora to a duel. If she wins, Sora will become a decent person. Sora now even wants to lose, but only has a 1 in 10,000 chance to doing that. They play blackjack, in which Steph wants to cheat to win, but even there she loses by Sora counting the cards. Nobles pull off, realizing that Steph is actually not that dumb and even has friends, so granting their wish from the game. She's their doggy for a day, which brings us to another race that Sora wants to take over. But first, rip Steph off one game after another. Make it clear to her that everything they do is done for the good of humanity, and next their rank 6 race challenge the wings who always just play the same game. For this they go to the library which an angel won from the old king in a game, as it were the only weapon of the people bet. Best king ever. The angel is challenged. If she loses the library and also herself. If she wins, she gets a tablet with 40,000 ebooks. Sora and Shiro are tested and classified as unknown creatures. Sora now satisfies her by petting her wings. Okay, time for a duel. Chains of words from any language. Whenever you name a word, it gets there physically. Everything that is already there disappears. For example, a hydrogen bomb. Blocked by a shield. Then it goes on and on by putting on Steph a bikini, taking off all women's clothes with the FSK 18 in the view, getting the Earth core, leaving everything else away, and at the end they can't even talk anymore. However, they can still write, and with the written word everything is destroyed and thus won. Thus the library belongs again to the people, and there is Jibril also on top. Fair thing fun for 3! And Sora. After that, it is necessary to collect information about the warbeasts. The elves have often played against them and lost, so as Jibril. And the old king has also lost to the warbeasts several times, gambling away much of the human kingdom. The problem? There are no records of the games, because all thoughts were always erased afterwards. Short trip to the old king's palace, which was also gambled away. Short argument with Steph, because the old king lost so often. Steph overhears Sora now going through the old king's losses, because Sora does not believe in humanity at all, but in its potential. And this only thanks to Shiro, who had already seen through him as a small child. Steph joins them, gives Sora a key, they immediately go to the secret door of the old king and find a book. He hadn't lost his mind after the games, he just wasn't allowed to pass the information which he had against the warbeasts. At least until his death. Now they have the book and with it information about the warbeasts. Let's go to the embassy of the warbeasts. See the embassy a bit, pet Izuna a bit, and then challenge her to a game. At first only as a bluff to see if the warbeasts can really read minds, but they can't. They can only see if someone is lying by their heartbeat. Then a few more questions are L-style revealed. Why the elves have tried so many times, and that the game their warbeasts always play is a video game. And since no other race in the world knows about video games, they can't lose at all. So they know everything, and so they would be a big threat. Now they have to play against them, win and erase their minds. Only now the stakes are even higher. Sora sets the race figure. Lose that and all of humanity is no longer one of the 16 races and thus faces more or less complete extinction. With such a big stake, they can't refuse. But more details will be clarified later. Of course, there are some demonstrations by the people during such a big bet. After a week, Sora suddenly disappears before Shiro's eyes. Not only before her eyes, but also from the thoughts of Steph and her contacts in the cell phone. Shiro was a genius at a young age and met Sora afterwards, who were won right from the first meeting. Suddenly, he is no longer there. Now she herself begins to doubt whether Sora existed at all or existed only in her imagination. But it can't be! With a grabber also proved that Steph loves not her, but someone else. So it must be Sora, only where can he be? Apparently Clemmy has challenged him to a game because the race figure thing has gone too far. In a game between two worlds, he wiped out his existence by losing first, letting Shiro play on so that the game was won and Sora was back. Yeah, that was a small mindfuck. Now the two wishes are fulfilled. Sora and Clemmy each get the other's thoughts to be able to trust each other completely, and as a second wish he wants to change the thoughts of the elf Fee to use her for spying. All together again and end of the episode. Now there is a round of introductions so that everyone can know and trust each other. A few old bills are settled and a little bathing together for the sense of community. Short talk with Clemmy in the night, and the next day we go by carriage through the demonstrators to the embassy of the warbeasts. Mindgames. There we have a last talk, get into the seats, and the 4 against 1 can start. If Sora and the others win, the territories of the mainland of the warbeasts belong to them. If they lose their race figure. The 5 are digitized, Clemmy and Fee are watching, just like everyone else. Arrived at the world. They are in the real world. That's it. That's the only game they never really mastered. It looks like the real world, but it's only virtual. So all is well, taxes do not have to be paid. The rules: everyone gets a love gun that makes others fall in love with you. The goal is to hit Izuna, or for her to hit the other 4. There are also NPCs running around who can drain your energy. Izuna is super strong because of her sense of hearing and her speed, but she has to flee against Shiro. She is even better and even holds all first-person shooter records in the real world. We now almost got Izuna by tactical superiority. After all, she lost a piece of clothing. And it's only because the warbeasts cheat and Izuna is always told the coordinates of the enemies that they not only get caught in the defense, but Shiro even gets hit. Which is why the others had to flee. Jibril fights Izuna on the roof, while Sora is chased by Shiro. Sora and Shiro jump off the roof, Shiro wasn't hit by Izuna at all, and together they almost caught her if she didn't transform. Izuna hasn't had fun in games for a long time. But no, she does! Now she even uses double jumps and everything. She's way too strong in that form. The 2 of them can't fight her and they get hit. Only for her to drop her defenses and get hit from behind by Steph. She was carried by an NPC whose footsteps are soundless. They actually planned everything that way from the beginning and that's exactly how it happened. Izuna feels the loss for the first time. But that's what makes a game interesting and fun. So, welcome to the team, and the mainland belongs to the people again. The representative of the Eastern Federations comes in, wants to challenge Sora for a game, who accepts. Since he was challenged, he gets to decide the game and chooses a simple coin toss. If he wins, they get all the other warbeast territories as well. If he loses, the warbeasts are supplied with resources even after elves or whoever else should take their land. After all, now everyone knows what the game is played with them. She calculates the trajectory, chooses the backside, and the coin lands on the edge. With that, both have won. The humans get the claims of the land, while the warbeasts continue to be supplied. The land of the elves are fed false information, making them next in line. The priestess contacts rank number 1, gets possessed, and lets the next game begin. Or not. Let's quickly get to a conclusion. We have 12 good, no average or bad episodes. A damn awesome anime that should finally get a second season. Besides, God Tito is just a bluff. Everyone knows that Yugi is the true king of games.